second position is Kyle Petty.
I'll try to watch Kyle. Oh, here's a spin up, and that must be turn 6.
Looks like Rick Mast, car number 1. A lot of damage to the car as he has hit the inside walls. Now,
and this will bring out the caution flag, Ned, I'm sure.
Yes, it is. The caution is waving just in front of me here in the booth.
There is guard railing behind those tires. The tires will lessen the impact some, and you can see spectators back pretty far back behind them there. Well, let's take a look. Here he comes out through the grass. Boy, he is going at a high rate of speed there, too. Has no control over the car. Hits it backwards hard. And you can see the car spinning around. So Rick Mast taking a hard lick here at Watkins Glen.
And here it is from another angle.
Now that is nasty. Wow.
That's right by our TV compound there at turn number 6.
You think our producer and director all stayed in the truck, or they left? Ah, they're all there, they said on the headset, Don.
Our concern is for Rick Mast. We understand that he is moving around inside the car. Boy, that car just hit tremendously. And you're right, Ned, when it hits that grass, there's really no slowing. It slides all the way to the barrier, which in this case is a tire wall, which is in front of the guardrail.
And it feels like you pick up speed, Bob, on that grass, but I'm sure you don't. But to the driver, it feels that way.
So Rick Mast has crashed and brought out our first full course caution of the afternoon. We anticipate some pit stops here as the pace car has picked up the leaders. We will take a break and be back with more of our live coverage at the Bud At The Glen NASCAR Winston Cup race in just a moment. The scene is a crash involving Rick Mast in turn number 6. The car making hard contact with the tire barrier, and the ambulance and safety crew is on the scene.
Is that that's Rick Mast walking?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to see. We believe that Mast is walking to the ambulance. Yes, he is. So that is very, very good news. Now, those behind Mark Martin are seeing what his strategy is. If he comes in, you can bet that a lot of people are going to come in, but he does not. Phil Parsons flanks off, however, and does come in, but those running up front do not make a pit stop and stay out there. Kyle Petty, however, is one of the exceptions as he comes in to try to find out what is wrong with that car. Jerry, he's coming toward you.
We saw Kyle Petty losing spots lap after lap here in the early part of the race, and apparently the problem is that he has a sputter or a miss in the engine. Now, Kyle is hoping that it's a plug wire off, that he has a spark plug wire off the car. That's the problem, but they don't know. It's very important, you know, that they don't have an engine problem early here. It could be a long day if you do, as Kyle brings the mellow yellow car down, and the crew now will change all 4 tires while the car is sitting there, but they're also apparently going to look under the hood. They checked a couple of the hood pins, outside tires. In this case, it's left side tires going on because they pit from left to right here as opposed to right to left they do on most of the ovals. And now they're over the wall, and they will indeed raise the hood on the mellow yellow Pontiac. The good thing about being able to pit here under caution, it takes so long in order to lap under caution, there's really very little chance of losing a lap in the pits. Now the engine crew now working on the left side of the engine as they're trying to decipher what the problem is in Kyle Petty's car. Bob?
All right, Jerry, Morgan Shepherd was also in, and before the incident, Joe Nemechek was given a stop-and-go penalty. We're not exactly sure what that involved, but he did come in for a quick stop-and-go. Now the track maintenance people are there at the scene of the accident to determine whether they need to repair that guardrail where Rick Mast hit. And when we played this crash for you in real time, you will see exactly how hard that he did hit this tire barrier and guardrail.
Man, that's hard. Now watch this. This is a better angle. I mean, that car doesn't look like it's slowed down 1 mile an hour from whatever speed it was running when it was on the asphalt.
Yeah, you're right about that. But the good news is Rick Mast got out of the car and walked to the ambulance. So no at least serious injury, although he will be checked over at the local medical center. Back with more from Watkins Glen in a moment.
In Winston Cup racing, efficient use of time and attention to detail is critical to a team's success. Now, here's the usual scenario. It's Saturday afternoon, the final practice session, what we call happy hour. Now, someone will see a wisp of smoke coming from your race car with maybe 10 minutes to go, and so you're obligated to come back to the garage area and check it out, if you're smart. Well, what you have to do basically is pull apart the Oberg filter. This filter here has an aluminum cover, and you check the screen inside for parts of metals in the engine. This may seem simple, but let me show you where this filter usually is located. Behind the driver, you pull out the opera window, disconnect the hoses, and then begin to work on the filter. That all takes time you don't have in that final practice session. Well, here at Penske South, one of the co-owners, Don Miller here, says they have developed a Lexan cover for the Oberg filter. You can see through it. You simply slide that on, Don, and if you have a problem, that wisp of smoke we talked about, you simply come back to the garage, peer through the window, through the Lexan, and see if you have a problem. A very efficient and safe way to check your engine.
New innovation in Winston Cup racing, and as you can see, Kyle Petty is back in the pits. Jerry?
And they are not yet looking toward the Oberg filter area. Right now, Bob, their attention is in the engine compartment. A minute ago, he came in, and apart from changing tires, they changed the ignition and the coil, but the problem still continued. The car is missing. They've checked the spark plug wire, so their initial hopes that maybe a wire had vibrated off was not the case. Now John Wilson, the engine builder, and that's him on the far right of the car with the beard and the sunglasses and the blue headset, is looking about possibly a valve spring being broken in the car, which could certainly create a problem for them the rest of the afternoon. Tough break for the defending champion of the Budweiser at the Glen.
Yeah, and we'll never forget the fun we had with him last year at this race, as you see the remains of the Skoal Classic driven by Rick Mast after hard contact with the guardrail up in turn number 6. You remember the race was rain shortened last year, and we talked to Kyle, and just as we were talking with him, we got the official word from NASCAR that the race had been officially stopped, and he was the winner, but he wouldn't take John Kernan's word for it. He waited until he got a higher authority, but he was the winner of the race last year, but problems for him here in the early going in 1993. Pulls back out of the pit area onto the racetrack once again to try to salvage what's left of this event, and we got a long way to go with Mark Martin still leading after 10 of 90 laps. The race has been stopped on the 11th lap. There is some damage to the guardrail out there in turn number 6, and they're going to get everything the way they want it before they resume the action. The drivers are going to stay in their cars. We don't anticipate a long delay here, but we are going to red flag the race while they can repair the guardrail over there in turn number 6, where Rick Mast had a very, very bad crash, but he apparently is okay. Ned?
Well, we wondered if Mark Martin or any of them would make pit stops, and of course we saw that they did not. And one reason they didn't, this is a 90-lap race. They can go about 30 laps or maybe as many as 32 laps on a tank of fuel, so no one wanted to give up that track position to come in and then be off sync as far as pit stops are concerned, because everybody is figuring on making 2 pit stops during this race. Now, we also might mention during one of our breaks before Rick Mast wrecked, Morgan Shepherd spun out in that same area. He didn't hit anything. He got his car stopped before it got over to the guardrail. We mentioned a moment ago that he had made a pit stop. He was back near the back of the pack, so he had nothing to lose, right, John Kernan?
You're exactly right, Ned. What happened with Morgan, he missed a gear going into the turn, so trying to slow it down with the engine, he was able to do that when he missed the gear, put on the brake screen, get the car slowed down enough, and consequently he went off the race course. They decided to bring him in. Like you said, they had nothing to lose. They were back at the pack anyway, so they came in and put on 4 fresh tires and sent Morgan out. Remember, they finished second in last year's race.
And now he is in 29th position as the red flag is out, and the sun-baked crowd takes a break from the action on the racetrack. And here it is from the perspective that we have right there at the TV compound. Rick Mast going in, hitting with the back of the car first, and then spinning completely around and just destroying the car and doing some damage to the guardrail over there. Now, we were talking about Morgan Shepherd, and here's what happened to him.
He's just cruising along, and there you can hear him. He is sure, there it goes, out into the grass, but he keeps it in a relatively straight way, Bob, and does not spin around, and as a result, he was able to keep it away from that guardrail.
And Dr. Jerry Punch is with Kyle Petty.
And Kyle's still sitting in the mellow yellow Pontiac. They've asked the drivers to stay in the car, and Kyle's obliged. Kyle, after winning this thing a year ago, you've had a few